you still need to get into the local currency, and that's where a lot of the barriers are. And so something we want to try to create is like smoother payment rails into that. So like helping, we see this macro trend of you're going to be able to hold cryptocurrency in your Chase bank. Maybe not Bitcoin just yet, but like a stable coin or something. These macro trends are coming, and we want to try to build the tools and the legal foundation now. So we're set up to facilitate smoother payment transactions in real estate.
All right, welcome here to Full Speed Podcast. My name is Eric Dalius. I'm your host today. We got a special guest speakers here today. You're gonna absolutely love them. You guys are in for a treat. If you like Bitcoin, you like real estate, well, we got the combination of two coming together. You're gonna hear some information that you may have heard in the marketplace, but this is from people and from movers and shakers that actually have real world examples and of this actually working in the marketplace. So I'm telling you, now's the time to dial in here. Crypto's coming back here. Bitcoin's on the way up. But now here's an opportunity to go ahead and be in both real estate and crypto at the same time. Please go ahead and welcome my special guest here today, Mr. James Richardson and Piper Moretti from Crypto Realty Group. How you guys doing?
Great.
Doing great. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much. And it feels great to be here live on location in Vegas, right?
Yes.
Las Vegas, baby.
Doing it.
Yeah, we got some entertainment going on here, but we got a lot of business going down.
Yes, we do.
And I know that Piper and you and I, we go back.
We go back.
A number of years.
Yep.
All the way back to 2016.
Yep.
When we first met. And I came up with this crazy idea. I wanted to buy what?
You wanted to buy real estate with Bitcoin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you said what?
I said, okay.
Yes.
Because, all right, either this guy's crazy or he's serious, and it turns out you were dead serious.
Yeah, and crazy though too.
And crazy. Both
were true, yeah.
A little bit, yeah, at the same time.
So
Absolutely.
let's walk through a little bit of that. That was late 2016.
Yep.
The price of Bitcoin is about $600, $700, $800 ish, and it was growing.
Uh-huh.
And so we wanted to go ahead and purchase a house with crypto, and we approached you.
Yes.
And you said, "I'll figure it out."
I will figure it out.
And that was probably about what, November timeframe?
Yeah.
Of 2016.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how long did it take for us to go ahead and put a deal together?
It actually did not take long at all. You know, I mean, because I learned very quickly.
Yes.
You like to go very fast. So,
Full speed.
Yeah,
Full
speed, absolutely.
On brand.
And so we looked at a few houses. I mean, and I should say, it was a random call that came through. I think one of the internet. The internet.
Yeah, right.
And I dropped everything because you guys were like, "Hey, we want to see a house right now in Manhattan Beach." Okay, great. So I just dropped everything, went over, and that it literally changed the course of my real estate career. It was insane.
Amazing.
So, but who knew at the time, right? But so November, we're looking at houses, and we finally landed one in December.
Yeah.
And made an offer, and we were closed by the first couple of weeks of January.
Yeah.
But that it was not that simple.
It was actually January 13th.
Yes, it was. Okay.
Yes.
And
it was a Friday, by the way.
I make it seem simple, but it so was not. We just my first call was my lender. I'm like, oh my God, I have a guy. He's dead serious about buying this $3 million house with Bitcoin.
Right.
What do I do? Oh, just have him cash out, and have him season the funds. That was not an option.
Right.
So we had to figure out something else, something that was more creative, you know. And we put the puzzle pieces together and did it. And I have to say, the entire time, the listing agent was completely convinced that we were trying to scam them. Right.
This isn't going to happen.
This is not going to happen.
It's not a real deal.
This is a cryptocurrency.
Oh my God. Yeah, and you're trying to scam us. And I'm like, why would I risk my license on something like this? So up until the day of closing, I mean, he was like, I don't know about this, but we put the puzzle pieces together, made it happen. The couple of interesting points that I always say when I speak is, everything's going great during the escrow process, but about 21 days in, I think, 22 days in, the lawyers at the escrow company heard the word Bitcoin, and they were like, no, we don't want anything to do with this. And so they kicked us out of escrow. And I had no idea what was going on because I had a Hawaii trip planned, and I went absolutely silent for a couple of days. And I'm like, okay, it's too quiet. What's going on?
Right.
I found out we get kicked out of escrow. We're scrambling to find another one. In the meantime, what does Bitcoin do? It shoots up.
Yes.
And you said, I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini.
Yes, that was part of the process.
That was part of it.
I had to go test out this Bitcoin transaction.
Yeah.
And I found a dealership.
Yep.
It happened to be a Lamborghini dealership.
Just so happens.
Yeah. And I wanted to, get the most expensive car to get, to test out the highest transaction I could.
Yep.
And that worked out pretty good.
It actually did, because what did I say? I said, okay, you go, because we found a place in Orange County that took Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I said, give me the guy that you talked to, send me the bill of sale, everything you got on this car.
Yeah.
And that bill of sale helped us get the house, because we were able to prove that you could actually buy
So it actually did work.
high-ticketed items. Absolutely.
That was an excuse for me to buy the Lambo.
Yeah, thank you for that, by the way. Yeah, and we was like, oh, okay, well, that's proof that. And we had the sales guy on the phone. Yep, we took the Bitcoin, and that helped us, and we closed on time.
It was so interesting. I took a trip down there to grab some lunch and look at this Ventador. It's a beautiful, brand new car. And I said, okay, I'm going to buy this with Bitcoin. And he goes, you want to test drive this? I said, I don't need to test drive. I know what I want. And that was it. I dropped off my car because I said, I'm going to get rid of the Maserati. I said, you're going to have the Maserati.
Oh my God.
And I got to go back. I'm actually heading out. And he goes, well, it's going to take a couple days to do the paperwork. And I said, yeah, no problem. And just put it all together. Just email me, and I'll be on the road and make it happen. So as it turns out, I get the email come over when I'm just boarded on the jet. We're getting ready to go to Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, well, let me see if I can make this thing happen. So what I love about Bitcoin is so convenient. Like, I'm doing this thing on the runway of the jet. I'm doing a transaction. Boom, done. 30 seconds, boom, done. I send a text, and we're off. By the time I land in Hong Kong 12 hours later, you're like, you already knew the deal was done.
Yep.
And the Lambo was being delivered here to the Ritz. So that was good.
Yep.
And it gave you the ammunition that you needed. And what was super interesting about this is that, we closed on January 13th, and this is December 31st, right? So we have like 2 weeks now. But now she's got proof of concept, right? And so I'm in Hong Kong taking care of business there, and the transaction comes over. Boom. Now this is 12 noon or 9 a.m. Pacific time, right?
Yeah.
In Hong Kong, it's 12 midnight.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll never forget, I'm staying at the Ritz-Carlton in Kowloon, and I roll over and I see my, my phone's going off, got the emails coming through, and I said, oh, it's purchased, so okay, let's go ahead and do that. Just like I did the Lambo from the jet, I'm gonna go ahead and do the house from Hong Kong, from the suite at top of the Ritz-Carlton, all right?
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Boom, done.
All
right, and I moved in a month later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but it was
you didn't
smooth
mess around.
all the way through.
Yep.
And ladies and gentlemen, we were actually paving the way. Like, it might have looked easy from the outside, but there was a lot of stuff going on. I mean, we got kicked out of escrow, right?
Yeah.
We kicked it right back in. Kicked it right back in, right? And so that's what I like about what you have done, Piper, with this is having that resilience to see this all the way through. But it also set you up because we did another couple more transactions.
Yep.
And being the third generational real estate investor, like natural stuff. But I wanted to spread myself, go into Bitcoin and real estate. Mm-hmm. And now in 2023, we've got this thing called DeFi. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on here. Maybe James can give some insight for that one. But I just want to make sure people understand the history here. Mm-hmm. Once we had 2 and 3 and 4 deals under our belt, you started getting some calls, to do some speaking.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Oh my gosh. Well, it made a local newspaper.
Wow.
And that was written by a realtor. He was like, I just don't understand this. How could this happen? And then it kind of just splintered out from there, And the next thing I know, I'm on the phone with then at the time the president of the International Blockchain Real Estate Association, right? And it's it was pretty prolific at that time. And he said, hey, do you want to come out to New York and just talk about your transactions? I'm sure, because they were having their second annual conference. I fly out to New York. I'm like, blockchain. Okay, what is this? Because I knew what Bitcoin was. I just didn't know anything about blockchain. And so I downloaded some videos and watched the videos from LA to New York, so I wouldn't sound like a complete idiot when I was on this panel, right? I'm like, I got to know what I'm talking about. So
you were gearing up.
Yeah, I was gearing
rapid
up.
Study.
Rapid. Yeah.
Nice.
And so I'm on this panel, and at that point we had done 4.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I thought this, but I thought, okay, well, I got to be late to the game on this Bitcoin thing. I mean, it's been around for a while now. There's got to be realtors in the area that are like way ahead of me on this. And word got out that I had done 4 at that point at this conference, and the panel ends, and people are up and talking, and I get this rush of people, like I'm all of a sudden like this rock star, and they're like, "Oh my God, you've done 4 Bitcoin transactions," and I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, is this a thing? I mean, I don't know."
And we did that in like a 6-month period.
We did, yeah. It wasn't
like it took too long. Yeah. It wasn't like it was 6 years. I mean, it was 6 months, and so we were condensing time.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was hard to move multiple 7 figures of Bitcoin, unless you were some type of hedge fund and things like that.
Yeah.
But had banking relationship.
Right. At the higher level. And so we were kind of paving the way back in the day for that. And so now you're on the speaking tour, 2017, 2018, 2019, you've been speaking to all kinds of different panels about the benefits of, real estate and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so what's super cool is that now there's been some products in the marketplace that really allows, in my opinion, a lot more leverage. Like the problem I had with that was, okay, that was cool, and I cashed out of Bitcoin, and so I created a taxable situation for myself. And I said, okay, well, I did prove a concept. Okay, that's great. And I'm in another asset category, which is fine. I was super happy with the results that were done, but there's always room for improvement. So what could I have done better as I look back on it? And so I got back into the crypto market and rode that wave again. 2019, 2020, rode that, bought more, and then cashed out 21, 22. And so now we'll come back in for a third play on this one, because the reason is simple, right? Every time it's kind of around that halving situation, right? Which is scheduled to happen around May or April of 2024. It seems that the price of Bitcoin always retraces the all-time high and then some, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think now's the time to do it. Everyone else is saying, I don't know, they're nervous. I mean, that's the time to get in.
Yeah.
That's the time to roll, right? And I always tell people, buy as much as you can, hold on as long as you can, but make sure you shave off the top, right? Take some of the cherry picking,
And that's what's important. Is like a lot of people get in at the all-time high and then it starts dropping. But understanding the dynamics of Bitcoin and being able to watch that cycle, I think, is important. Because like you said, the halvings happen about every 4 years, but every day there's new Bitcoin created. And the amount of new Bitcoin created gets cut in half, but the amount of money the miners spend to create it doesn't change. So that usually has a good impact on the price.
So let's just kind of elaborate a little bit on what our options are now.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, Crypto Realty Group, I mean, the name says it all, right?
Yeah.
And we obviously have proven the concept here over and over and over again of converting that crypto and cashing out and essentially getting the real estate. So you've proven that, and you can get clients around the world. You can help realtors around the world to make that happen. So they definitely need to be reaching out to you to make that happen for sure. But now as an investor, I look at this thing, how can I do it better, right? I already did that way, and I was happy, but how can I make it better? And so what would you recommend I do? Well, I still want to be in crypto. I still want to be in real estate.
Well,
what could I do?
And that's one of the paradigms here, I think, that's different about Bitcoin or some of these things is like with dollars, right? You can't borrow against dollars, right? You could borrow against your house. It's like an equity, right? But Bitcoin's a bearer instrument. So there is lending products already coming out on the market. We think we can maybe create more, but where somebody that maybe has 10 Bitcoin today at 25,000, as Bitcoin retraces, as you said, maybe hits 50,000, 100,000.
Sure.
Right? How could somebody maybe buy their first home or buy an investment home and maybe not lose their underlying assets? So there's going to be a whole new slew of loan products built for exactly that, like a collateralized loan for real estate against your digital property of Bitcoin or Ethereum or maybe even NFTs in the future.
So if I took a loan against my Bitcoin is what I'm kind of hearing as an option, then I can take that cash and buy real estate with it and use it as a down payment and then utilize the banking on the real estate, which is a more traditional route. But here I have the same money tied up, right?
Yep.
Of my own money tied up in the Bitcoin. And so now, but I'm actually getting two plays out of it.
Yeah,
the same money.
Yeah, the same way like Elon Musk might borrow against his stocks, right? You're taking a loan, and again, at some point, that digital entity that's loaning you, like it is yourself, but it could also be another fund or another entity you have that's now loaning your LLC or your other entity money at a fixed rate, right? Or whatever interest rate you kind of want to set. And
what I love about that is that it allows me to hold my Bitcoin, right?
Exactly.
And not get rid of my Bitcoin, not have that taxable situation. And at the same time, it helps me to leverage my Bitcoin into real estate, into cash flow properties. Yes. And I think that's an amazing thing to do and have at your fingertips. And, I definitely want to become a part of that customer experience that you're providing for this next round of crypto, next round of real estate that we go through as an investor. And I know that some of our listeners, they've been in and out of crypto. Yep. Some are real estate investors, and they're like some are first-time investors. Like, how do I get started? First of all, get in with the Bitcoin.
Yep. All right? Get in the game.
Just get in the game, right? And then you can start to build that, and then start to leverage that into more Bitcoin, and leverage that then eventually into the real estate. I think you got to have both, because the benefits. I love the upside potential. Yeah. Of that. Now there is always a downside too. From some of my research that I've done, and I call it the downside, right? And that is if the price of Bitcoin goes down, you lend the money, lend against the Bitcoin, and the price goes down, then you get the margin call, right?
Well, so that depends on where you're doing the lending from.
Right,
but there are products that don't have a margin call that are buying like a put and a call. Right. You know what I mean? The same way they would do with like grains for farmers or for oil. So there are products that can kind of hedge that risk, but also you can borrow responsibly against it, where if you have like 30% loan to value or something, where you're accounting for that price.
I'm trying to maximize this thing out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I would think that reverse, like it should be 70%.
Yeah. But and I think your point was right. Is like also like for you, you're in a different situation. You're like an investor. You're looking at like capitalize. But for like a lot of my friends that actually like don't own their first home, like I'm telling them, again, not financial advice, but like the idea of like buying something like a Bitcoin gives them something to ledge against inflation, or to hedge their money in a slightly different way. There's a fixed supply, and so if money goes up, the price of that generally should go up. And buying access to that Bitcoin now might let them collateralize into their first property as Bitcoin goes up, or sell. And again, I think like you've done it right multiple times. Like anything, this is going to be cyclical. So if something's highly volatile and goes up, 20,000% in a short period, it's probably coming down. And I think something everybody could learn probably from good investors is like, you got to be able to like get out when the excitement's really high and everyone's coming in for the first time, and then being able to recognize, like, even if there's some blood on the street or there's, bad things in the market, like when your opportunity to buy that you can hold long term, and you don't have to necessarily desperately sell it as soon as market conditions change.
Let me ask you a question here, Jay. Okay, so you're telling your friends to get some Bitcoin, right?
Okay,
generally. Let's talk about how those conversations are going. All right. So tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I mean, most of them have been good. Like a lot of people I was telling,
like when it's good, what does that mean? They're in?
Yeah,
almost. You say, it sounds great, James, but
I was telling people about Bitcoin at like $3 or $4, right? So some of my friends I had told, I had told, I'm not an OG because I was working at startups, but like I understood the technology. I've been in fintech. I was connecting payment networks. Again, when I first heard about Bitcoin, I heard the same kind of thought in my head, like, I don't own my Google Drive doc. I don't trust digital systems. I work on them. Like, why would I? I didn't understand the paradigm that it is like kind of something different. So a lot of my friends that got in, they didn't get in that early. Like a couple that were very like gambling focused did, but most people that got in that early didn't hold that long, because it went up.
I still think it's early right now.
It went all the way back down.
I still think it's early right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. And again, back then,
companies that are bigger than Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. And like back then, the risk was a lot higher. There was no way to buy or sell it. Right. But that's changed. And as people that are watching that cycle, probably like you, that have seen it, kind of run this thing, it actually goes through periods, years, where it's actually more stable than a lot of fiat currencies, right? And, it stabilizes November, and then it gets volatile.
I mean, this past November with the whole FTX stuff going down, it was super interesting because one of our speakers here that I had opportunity to listen to here recently, Kathy Wood from ARC, she talks about how really the FTX whole debacle thing actually really kind of proved that Bitcoin is more stable because it's decentralized. Yeah. Whereas the FTX, it was all centralized. Like we're trying to tell you, that centralized stuff not working.
Yeah, and they were running all types of scams in the background. Exactly. Right. It wasn't like exactly the failure of Bitcoin. And like one thing I tell my friends is like, again, thinking long term, like what I do is I purchase a little bit of Bitcoin every single week. So if Bitcoin's going down, I'm happy because I'm buying. If Bitcoin's going up, I'm happy because I'm holding.
So you got a weekly buy schedule.
Yeah,
a weekly buy schedule.
Yeah, but exactly.
Is that pretty easy to set up?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to set up. There's a lot of good services. Some do it to custodial wallets. You can even do it on Coinbase. I think Coinbase, if you do direct deposit from your paycheck, they don't charge you any fee on the transaction. So you can do like $200 every paycheck or $50 every paycheck. They charge you no fee, and you can accumulate step by step, and that gives you that kind of
I didn't even know that even existed.
Yeah, price averaging.
No fees, even cooler.
Yeah, but like, and I also tell my friends, look, nobody's so far to date, nobody's lost Bitcoin holding it for 3 years, right? On a 3-year cycle, if you hold it for 3 years, so like thinking long term, like if you're looking to get in and oh shit, I could go from 1 cent to 60,000. First off, nobody could have held it that long. You know what I mean? Because the volatility is just too much for humans to take.
I'm always interested in long term versus short term.
Exactly. And if you think long term,
right now. The definition of that is, long term is greater than 12 months, right? In 1 day. And so I'm already going beyond that. But you bring up an interesting thing that I never thought about is if you look back over a 3-year cycle, it's always come up, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
It's been the best performing asset over the last 10 years on like a 3, 5, or 10 year thing than any asset. And again, that's not necessarily future performance, but Bitcoin's something different. It's a breakthrough in computing technology. It's like it gives us the promise of sort of what the internet wanted to be. To do commerce on the internet today, you need an SSL, you need a third-party merchant service, you need all these different add-ons and bolts to do basic stuff. And this is sort of a paradigm computer science was trying to solve 20 years ago, and now we have the tools to do it. Again, it's nothing extremely new. It's just a combination of old technologies, public-private key cryptography, this concept of mining and creating like a closed loop where everybody's incentivized to play, because Bitcoin doesn't care about FTX. Bitcoin doesn't care about economic. Every 10 minutes it's producing a block. And then if people choose to use that to, again, send value across the world, they can. And that, in some ways, the difference between money and value is like, is perception in some sense. And so like there's an interesting like paradigm here where it's like Bitcoin has value because it's valuable in some ways. And it's like most money's digital, but you can't send your wire on Saturday. It's not going to close. There's a bank holiday on Monday. Bitcoin rails are open all over the world. I couldn't have bought my
Lambo the way I did from the jet.
No.
I couldn't have done the home transaction for sure from Hong Kong in the middle of the night at midnight. Okay.
Exactly.
In my suite, sleeping in my bed.
Exactly. And like the big problem, so like being able to send that anywhere in the country and it works. It's like gold, but I can divide it anywhere. Like, and that's already solved. That's already helping people. The big problem, and again, when people say, oh, it could help poor or whatever, it's like you still need to get into the local currency, and that's where a lot of the barriers are. And so something we want to try to create is like smoother payment rails into that. So like helping, we see this macro trend of you're going to be able to hold cryptocurrency in your Chase bank. Maybe not Bitcoin just yet, but like a stable coin or something. These macro trends are coming, and we want to try to build the tools and the legal foundation now. So we're set up to facilitate smoother payment transactions in real estate. Like soon we won't be talking about crypto. It's going to be just on your phone. You're just authorizing payment. The blockchain part and all the scary part about crypto, like pasting a wallet, that's going to disappear. You're going to be using your biometrics or your phone, and it's just another payment rail.
So what do you think, Piper? What are you most excited about with crypto and Bitcoin?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I gotta thank you once again. I don't know how many times I've thanked you for like just opening my eyes to this whole thing, you know. And it's so funny. Like historically, I look back, I didn't understand it. It was a little scary to me, but I thought it was just one of those gut feelings that you get and you can't explain it. Like, this is going to be huge someday.
Wow.
And I regret not like taking it further then.
I mean, you were right there. I mean, because that thing was just starting to go out, and I think the actual paper got released like January 1st, 2010. But like right there, you're hearing about it. I mean, you're right there.
I was right, and I didn't, and I kind of put a pin in it, and it didn't resurface until I met you.
Okay.
And at that time, it was about 700 or something, and I thought, oh my God, I'm too late. I can't. I'm never gonna be able to.
And listen, I think the timing is perfect right now.
We're still early, as you said.
The timing is everything, and what I'm excited about is yes, have we gone through bull markets and bear markets? I mean, it's cyclical, you know.
Sure.
And I'm, yes, right now I don't know if we're coming out of a bear market. I mean, it's starting to look a little bit more promising. But we might be in this for another few months. But when we're not, there's going to be another bull run, and and the phone will start ringing off the hook again, and we're going to have new problems to solve. Hopefully, our goal is to be ready for it. When we get this kind of a cross section of investors who are wanting to purchase property, and we are there for them. We've got people like you who are like, okay, I want to diversify. This is what I want to get. I'm going to pay all cash, to the person who's like, wow, I invested $500 in a couple of years ago, and now I've got enough to put a down payment. How do I do that? And then everything in between. Because we also have, I've got kids calling me saying, hey, I get paid in crypto. How do I rent something? So we've got solutions for all of that. Go
ahead.
I was going to say, and I think you hit on an important point. Like, a lot of the conversations I've had with my friends, like, you don't want to invest in something you don't know. And a lot of people, they hear about it, and then somebody else comes back and it legitimizes it. Like, there is something to say just buying a teeny bit of Bitcoin and making a transaction, that education, like educating yourself about this dynamic and kind of like breaking those paradigms and trying to like dive in. That's like the best thing you can do for yourself right now is that investment. And the one other piece is like there's people that have cash and they're looking to buy a home or they have this crypto, but there's also this growing class of like DAOs or Web3 native companies that have the opposite problem. They have all their money in Ethereum or all their money in whatever. They've never moved $100,000 through a bank account, right? They need to turn that into traditional assets, and some of them might not even know they have that problem yet. We also want to be able to help those companies to say, how do you turn this like wealth you have in crypto into more traditional assets, kind of going the other way?
It sounds to me it's kind of like a concierge for crypto.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it. Actually, we might steal that.
Yeah, right. Steal that.
Crypto concierge. You heard it first here on Full Speed Podcast. Okay. But yeah, no, seriously, it's like kind of a one-stop shop. It's not just about crypto or real estate. It's other spin-offs of that can really help investors and businesses get more value out of what their investments they want to make, but also to move money in and move money out around the world. I mean, I love that.
Yeah, and even to store it, like family offices, like helping thinking, like there's no licensed crypto professionals out there, right? So like thinking about multi-signature wallets to be able to like pass down to your kids in a secure way. There are some different paradigms here of like, how do you custody this safely? Or for a business, if you're gonna deploy a smart contract, how do you do it in a way where your developer doesn't own the domain? That happened in the early 90s. A lot of people, my friends called me like, hey, my website's down. I did it, and it's like, you don't own this domain. Whoever you paid to build the site does. You need to get in touch with them. So like, we really want to help businesses do like blockchain and crypto and like set up that correct like operational and like technology.
Well, I was fortunate. I learned a long time ago. If it's not your keys, it's not your crypto.
Yep.
And I made some mistakes along the way.
Yep.
Especially with Ethereum when it was like $50, and that vanished. But you don't want to make that mistake. You want to have the keys, guys. All right, have the keys to your crypto. and those private keys, because that way you have control it, you have access to it, and it's not sitting out of your control.
Right.
And I think that's super important. And what you guys are helping us do is actually take more control of the movement of crypto and tie it into real estate. And I'm super excited about some of these concierge services that you guys are putting together for not just the high-end investors, but the beginner investor as well too, right?
Definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
good. That's good.
Yeah, and it's maybe not real estate today, but it could be 2-3 years down the road from now. It's just a lot of people just don't high net worth investors. They may not have it locked down completely. They might need another solution. They might need something else that they haven't thought of yet that we might be able to provide. That's what our concierge service does, and then also the newbies, in the space. We can help them just kind of like gravitate towards what makes the most sense that's going to give them their biggest leverage right now.
Yeah, and even building like crypto enabled tools or services where maybe the service offering to the end user doesn't feel that crypto or blockchain related, but maybe it gives us an advantage. It helps a title business get an advantage, or an escrow company be able to do distribution through traditional rails and a payment rail, so we can move that money through a bank, but also to your private wallet.
Right. What's interesting here is that you guys are working on solutions to get more value out of the crypto space.
Exactly.
And you're not the only ones working on that. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of other entrepreneurs and companies out there that are working in the space that understand the future where this is and the potential that it has. And the cool thing is that we're actually at such a beginning stage that we're actually shaping the future, just like we shaped it back in 2017. All right, like we shaping it up again in 2023. All right, then where's it going to be 3 years from now, right?
That's the exciting part. Where are we going to? We're going to have brand new opportunities and issues down the road. So we're laying the foundation now, and we'll
I think you guys are on the right track from a concierge standpoint because it allows you to service investors in multiple different ways, and depending on their situation.
Exactly, and then maybe build a tool or some tech to scale that or automate that or buy a company or invest in a company that's doing the same. And,
so we've got a bunch of entrepreneurs here, and they've got ideas about businesses. They're running businesses here. Some of them have failed. Some of them have succeeded. Some of them have succeeded then failed. Because you go up and down. But it's not like it's a straight line. Just go.
It's a journey. It's a journey. And if you're on the journey, you're doing it. That's
what I want you guys to share is what's been the most challenging thing right now that you've been facing.
It's a good question.
That's a good question.
So I think for what we're doing, it's like trying to find focus. There's so many bright, shiny objects. It's like we helped the DAO convert a bunch of their assets into, a distribution to distribute 2,000 Ethereum to their network.
Right.
We helped an education company that got a grant from one of these blockchain providers. By the way, a lot of these blockchain companies are giving out good grants to businesses if you have a good idea. So don't overlook that in the funding.
Right.
But then there's the real estate and the real estate loans, and then tools for a title company, tools for an escrow company. There's this very
what you've got to do
finding focus is our challenge.
Right. Yeah. And I call it the dumb it down situation. Right.
We got to dumb it down
because I have a tech investment company and we invest in tech. And so what happens is you have all these great ideas. And you put all that, but what you have to do is you have to take those great ideas and bring it into an MVP.
Yep.
Minimal viable product the marketplace is going to respond to.
Yep. Exactly.
And so that's the simplest form of what you have. So
and
you
get
guys,
real feedback from real customers on that.
Right.
Exactly.
As you're going through the process, right? Yeah. And that'll help shape who you are and what your offerings are. And that really kind of goes not just for you, but for all of our listeners here as entrepreneurs.
That's great advice.
Is you got to get it out there, minimum viable product, and you got to test out the marketplace. And the marketplace is going to tell you one way or the other. It's going to tell you, no good by paying no attention to you. Or they're going to say, oh, okay, we like it, but we're only going to give you a drip of revenue because you got some more room to work on, right?
Yep.
And then other times it's going to reward you big time because the money just flow in bigger than you ever expected. It's because you're on the right track.
Yep.
You hit the chord, and lightning does strike. All right.
Yep.
And it strikes more than once. All right. Yep. But you just got to stay in the game.
Yep.
But you got to get focused, and you got to get focused sooner versus later.
Definitely.
All right. How about you, Piper?
What
keeps you up at night? What's keeping you up at night?
Running a company. I mean, and right now, we're definitely in a funky space, where it's like, okay, we're a little bit, in a bear market, with the crypto. Real estate's kind of ebbing and flowing right now. It's not as great as it was, a year ago. But that's okay. It's gonna go back up again. And so what we're doing now is, yes, of course I'm going to take your call. I'm not going to turn away business or anything like that, but we're also really focusing on the consulting arm, and that's, it's like, okay, well, what's the lowest hanging fruit here, and it's for some reason, it does go back to real estate. There are so many different holes to fill, in the real estate space with, blockchain technology and, crypto. And it's it's just trying to fill those holes.
Well, I think the biggest opportunity that you guys have, the way I see it as an investor, is really, one, I want to be able, teach me how I can get into Bitcoin and real estate with the same money. Teach me how that works, right? Because I'll do that all day long, right? This time I can do that, keep my Bitcoin and get in the real estate and get double the activity for the same amount of my money that I put in the marketplace. Now, I know I'm leveraging additional funds, but I didn't still spend any more money.
Right. Yeah, not out of your pocket.
And so, I'm super interested in that. I know some of our investors and entrepreneurs that are tuning into our podcast, they're super interested in that. So, that seems like the MVP to me. All right. And then you have some amazing concierge stuff here. I know that you've been testing out, and and that's great. But the lead with that, show me how I can double dip.
You betcha.
I'm down, right? I'm a double dip kind of guy. I'm also a double up kind of guy, right? I'm a double up. And but I think it's so, the money's got to flow, right? In the marketplace. It's flowing here, it's flowing there. If it's flowing out of the stock market, then it's going to flow here, what? In the real estate, right? Or it's going to flow out of the real estate in the crypto, or then it's going to flow into cash. And the reason why flow into cash is because people get nervous, right? And they don't know what to do, and they get all tensed up and say, put it into cash. Well, cash is what? Trash. Okay?
Yes.
Because that ain't, it's the cash flow that you want from the real estate, right? And it's the appreciation that you get from the real estate. It's the depreciation you get that you can go ahead and offset the gains that you had in your other businesses. But then simultaneously, I get to participate in this Bitcoin arena at the same time without any new funds. I mean, you guys, you're on to something with that. Just fine tune that, put that out in the marketplace in a big way. I'm here. I'm in with you guys, right?
Let's do this.
We've done business before. I'm interested in doing more, and I know our listeners here would love to learn more about you. Tell them how they find out more about what you're doing.
Oh, well, easy. The cryptorealtygroup.com. You can always email me, Piper@thecryptorealtygroup.com. I'm all over the place. I'm on social media. I have my own podcast, Crypto and Real Estate, everywhere.
Okay.
So I am totally out there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, listen. Time now, guys, is to take action. Don't sit on the sidelines, right? Don't be worrying about that cash here. Build up, put that cash to work, right? And so put that cash to work in Bitcoin, put it to work in real estate, and with the Crypto Realty Group, you get to do the best of both coming together simultaneously. So I just really appreciate your guys' insights here today.
Thank you.
Piper and James been a treat here to meet up here, taking the time out in Vegas. I'm having some fun talking crypto, talking real estate. Guys, you know what you got to do next. Get in contact with these guys. Get yourself started with Bitcoin. Get yourself restarted with Bitcoin. Get stepped out in the real estate. And if you're already doing both, bring it together under one umbrella and double dip and double up and make it happen. Thanks for tuning in to Full Speed Podcast. Take care, guys.